Today's video is very personal. It's also a video that touches millions of people around the world, but I'm going to concentrate on Ireland. I read recently Ireland's homeless problem has doubled in a time of richness. Yes, we had COVID, but Ireland always had a pot of gold underneath, mainly because they're being funded across the water by Europe. And like many businesses, they kept businesses going, and we all concentrated on the illness, and we all concentrated on different things ourselves. We're still struggling to try and put food on the table. But the other great thing that is happening here is the hypocrisy by our government in Ireland to choose the statistics that say homelessness has doubled in Ireland, and they're to blame. Politicians are to blame. But I don't want to make it into a political video. I want to make it into socially, consciously waking people up to the fact it exists. I see it outside my apartment. I see them out on one of the main streets here in Dublin, Henry Street, and the parks, and people at night time drinking and fighting. Yes, it is to do with drink and addictions, but where did that comes from? Partly because some of the people, unfortunately, weren't reared like normal people. They were dragged up because their parents, it's a hereditary factor, were drunks and addicts, and that's only part of the problem. Read this card before I begin the video. I got sick and it cost me my home. That's what's happening in America. They can't afford the insurance when they get sick, and a lot of them are ending up in cars, can't pay their rents, can't pay their mortgages. It's a huge, expensive thing to have insurance cover. Even here in Ireland, we've become that way. And people have it because of divorce. People have it because of separation for medical matters. They've separated. They can't afford the costs of everything. And the one thing people can't afford today is to be sick, because they'll end up like this gentleman's depiction in the video. And I'm playing the video today because it does strike a chord with me personally, because I have suffered homeless. More after the video, I'll touch on it. But let me read you out just a few statistics to the world. Maybe the government doesn't want this particular video to be aired because reality was set in to Ireland has got such a problem. Yes, we do, everybody. The data from the Department of Housing shows the number of homeless people now stands, and this is last year, and it was 11,754, including 3,431 children. The highest number of homeless individuals since current records began in 2014. That was last year's statistics. This year, homelessness in Ireland is evolving into a huge social issue. During the 19th century, homelessness was a pervasive impact on the Great Famine. During the 20th century in Ireland, it was associated with older males who may have an addiction or alcoholism issues. Now it's the cost of living that's causing people, and extraordinary high rents in this country, to become homeless and to be out on those streets. People just can't not afford to live with increasing costs. And our government is ignoring the issue. And the only party leading the way at the moment is Sinn Féin and Mary Lou, demanding answers from a government that's been in power long enough to have stopped the problem or slowed it down. But since they've come into government, our present government, it has doubled. The statistics now from January of this year is a further 5,655 have joined that 11,000. And a further 2,300 children has been added on to the 3,000 that we mentioned before. 11,500 homeless as figure hits record level for the 5th straight month in a row is not the figure. It's an estimation in Ireland. For a country that only has a couple of million people, that is far too many, because we're not taking into factors in this all the other people who are homeless, but they're staying in hotel rooms or hostels. That's always cleverly by the politicians taken out of the equation. But physical people out on the streets are known to be, for the 5th straight month in a row this year, over 11,500 people throughout the country. That's far too many. People often ask, how can I, me as an individual, help? I'll tell you how. Be respectful. Instead of walking off and not seeing the problem, be respectful. At least wish them well, that they get out of that problem. My mother taught me a saying, there before the grace of God go I. And it's a saying that I've often used when I've seen people in disparaging situations or helpless situations like homelessness, or unfortunate situations like the man depicted in the video at the start here. Give regularly to homeless charities, lobby politicians, donate old clothes. If you see somebody sleeping rough and they look in a bad way, call. You've got a phone. Call a society. Tell them he's in a bad way. Try and help them. Call an ambulance if possible. Or hold an event to raise at least a bit of money yourself and give generously to homeless societies. In this video I'm going to give 3. One from England, one from Ireland, one from America, just randomly picked, that I hope people, when they watch this video, might donate, might go online, look for them and donate. I leave that conscious decision with you. But I had to do something as a musical reactor, and what I've done today is put this video to make it aware about homelessness to a video that is called Skin, and it's by the American rock band 6am, and that is spelled SIXX.AM. They're an American hard rock band formed in Los Angeles in 2017 by Nikki Sixx, SIXX, DJ Ashba and James Michael, who are the current members. One plays lead guitar, one plays bass and one vocals. But I'm going back to this song that reminds me very much of Christina Aguilera, Beautiful. Do you remember the poignant video? Well, Skin had a black and white video, which I feel still causes upset with people. And I didn't want to take away from the homeless theme of my video today. So I've added this particular video to their lyrics. And their lyrics was about disformities, people different. And it showed a video like this many years ago. In circuses, they used to have people who suffered dwarfism, for example, and show them off as meme characters that we would term today, something to be shocked by or laughed at. But now, thank God, everything has, you come into societies that help people with disformities, and we've moved on, thank God. But we haven't when it comes to homelessness, because if we have, it wouldn't have doubled in figures. I'll have a lot more after the video. But first of all, I want us to listen and watch Skin by 6am, and then we'll talk more.
Paint yourself a picture of what you wish you looked like. Maybe then they just might feel an ounce of your pain come into focus. Step out of the shadows. It's a losing battle. There's no need to be ashamed, 'cause they don't even know you. All they see is scars. They don't see the angel living in your heart. Let them find the real you buried deep within, and let them know with all you've got skin. Oh, oh. And when they start to judge you, show them your true colors and do unto others as you'd have done to you. Just rise above this, kill them with your kindness. Ignorance is blindness. They're the ones that stand to lose. 'Cause they don't even know you. All they see is scars. They don't see the angel living in your heart. Let them find the real you buried deep within. And let them know with all you've got that you are not your skin. Well, they don't even know you. All they see is scars, and they don't see the angels living in your heart. So let them find the real you buried deep within. Let them know with all you've got that you are not your skin. Oh, oh.
I'm going to have to do something. Just give me a minute, because I found that very hard to watch, because this guy, or the guy in the beginning, is a reflection of a time where I was homeless through depression. I had a very violent, which I've talked about in previous videos, partner who lives a great life in Canada and has moved on, but that was always him. Extremely violent to me, and I'm a tall, broad person, and I would never hit back, never. Even when I was bullied at school when I was young, because I was so tall compared to others, they were smaller than me. I would never hit back. I just learned to move on. Homelessness is an empty place to everybody. It's a world where you just are thinking, can I get out of this? And I wondered how I got into it. Middle class family, all my siblings have mortgage-free homes. Why didn't I ring them? I had my phone stolen. I sat at a coffee shop with 6 suitcases around me. Don't even know how I got to the coffee shop with 6 suitcases. And do you know what I did? I remember walking into a charity shop and I handed all of them over. I said, whatever's in them is yours. And I kept my passport, my identification card, and my phone. And I went for a coffee. I couldn't walk around, and it wasn't 6 suitcases, it was a backpack, and 2 suitcases. Because I was in the height of depression. I'd left an apartment. What I couldn't take any more of the violence coming from my narcissist, psychopathic partner, where I knew I would react and I would be the one that would be violent. I'd reciprocate his punches. And he had connections, and I knew in the police force they would come looking for me, and he would be ignored, and he would be the pitied one. And I would have to be the grateful one because I wasn't working at the time. It just became a mess. Why? Simply because I wouldn't accept him sleeping with so many people, and I was afraid of getting AIDS from him, and it led to a huge row. That's how I became homeless, because his name was on the lease, and I just had to leave for my own sanity. But the minute I hit the streets, the whole relationship, years of it, got to me, and I just went into depression. Thereafter, for up to 3 years, I didn't know where I was, how I was going from A to B. I don't even know how I survived. But that's a story for another day, as to the person that picked me up and made me whom I am today. And she lives in Switzerland. And if she's listening, hi Ariana, you know who you are. But I helped a man recently go from homelessness. He was across the way here in AXA, here in the heart of Dublin, an insurance firm for cars, lived outside with his dog, and I raised an awareness for him. And people from the apartment block I live in here all went out and gave him cushions, tried and made it. We'd see him every day feeding the dog, and he told me briefly he was from a travelling family, but he wasn't really. He was dragged up. Drink and drugs, and they all fell into it, including himself. But he was such a sociable, decent person, and I made sure he had hot meals, even though I knew he wasn't taking them. All he wanted was the money for more. That's what he wanted. In the end, I decided to turn things around, led a Facebook campaign, and the short of it was I had maybe 120 people on my Facebook page, but we all came together and we raised 1,600, because I'm going to show in a follow-up to this video, I'm going to show people the picture of Martin and his beloved dog holding the papers of an apartment that he was given by the council here in Dublin after many years being on the streets. We had a radio campaign going, all of it, and all the people involved, including myself, made it happen and got a man off the streets. Just one person. And that took away my demons from my experience. I swore if I could help somebody, just one person, and I did, I'd feel much better within myself, and I do. But the figures hit me hard this year, that it's doubled in Ireland because of mismanagement by government after government after government. We took on 250,000 Ukrainian people recently into an economy straight after the war was declared between Russia, and that's a good thing. But people always perceived Ireland to be so rich they could do it, one of the strongest economies in the world. But we proved as a failure to that, because when they came, they didn't get what people perceived, but they got a roof over their head and they got safety. But the waiting list in Dublin has doubled now because people from outside came in and took advantage, and governments and the government themselves getting rewarded and praised. Oh, you're a great country. But the waiting list in Dublin got longer, from Irish people, from people within our own country, waiting for a chance that we created for a homeless man called Martin and his beloved dog Mindy. They were all hoping that the government would do something similar for them after waiting so long, and they have fallen to the bottom, while we have taken on far too many responsibilities from around Europe into this country and realised we have nowhere to put them. That's the situation in Ireland at the moment. There is no place for students. All the rooms have been taken up. There is no place for the homeless. They're still on the streets. And they're not building enough. But they've been given lots of money by Europe. So where's that going to, politicians? Today's video is going to be left with this statistic. And people say, how can we help? I just want to recap on the 5 things that can help a homeless person. Be respectful, give regularly to homeless charities, lobby politicians, donate old clothes to charity shops. If you see someone sleeping rough, please don't ignore them. Contact a local charity. That's what happened in my case. Hold an event to raise money for people. And that is why I've attached the 3 links one from America, one from England, one from Ireland, that you will donate. Instead of doubling, let's pull together in a resourceful way to help those that need help. And I'm going to say this, all the people from the outside that the government welcomed, I do welcome you, but they mismanaged the amount of people they could take in. And that has been disrespectful for those on the waiting list who are still on the streets, who are still in hostels, waiting for their chance like Martin got. I could only do so much with a group of people, but we did take one person off the streets. And for that I'm eternally grateful after my experience. And my demons are now rested. But I'm asking everybody not, after the recent statistics in Ireland, please let's do our bit. Don't ignore them. Thank you for listening.